Welcome to Unleashing Happiness, the podcast where I teach you how to change your mindset, change your habits, and actually change your life. Welcome back to Unleashing Happiness with Cecilia Hendricks. I hope that you are having an absolutely phenomenal start to your Wednesday. And if you're not, hopefully listening to this will help you turn it around and learn some tips and tricks to make sure that tomorrow you have a better day and a better start. And if you're already off on the right foot, then welcome to Wednesday with me. I think it's going to be an amazing day. I definitely got up on the right side of the bed this morning, so that's always fantastic. And I like to start my days that way. But I also have some tools that I have been using over the past few years that have allowed me to start to shape my own day. And it has allowed me to make some choices in the morning when I'm starting my day to get me off on the right foot. And then some choices that I end my day with to make sure that when I wake up tomorrow, I'm primed and ready in my environment to start the day the way that I want to. And let's face it, this all comes down to our habits, the habits that we're choosing each day. And especially once we're becoming aware, the ones that we're saying, you know what, I'm going to change this routine. I'm going to reframe the way that my mind works. And I'm going to do some things for me to make sure that I am focused on myself, that I am filling my own cup, and that I am doing things to increase my own mental well-being and just my overall joy and happiness in life, the fulfillment that I'm getting out of life. And I know that I continue to say it. Hopefully it's not getting boring quite yet, but it's so important to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. One of the topics that I want to talk about today is not getting caught in a loop and trying to convince yourself that you're going to get out of it by behaving in the same way that you've been behaving every other day. It really comes down to making a choice that something's going to change. And you can start so small. This doesn't have to be some sort of big, massive change. You don't suddenly need to wake up at 5 a.m. with a 3-hour morning routine. You don't need to be meditating for 6 hours a day. There is very small, sustainable steps that you can take to really align yourself to the person that you want to be and have the life that you want to have. I've shared on here that I am definitely a big follower of Neville Goddard. I like to use his techniques, which is really around kind of the law of assumption and stepping into being the person that you want to be. It's essentially that you are feeling in a specific moment that you are currently experiencing what your desired outcome would be, or you are experiencing something that would imply that you received your desired outcome. And that's a lot of the teachings with Neville Goddard. And when you start to really dig in, you'll see that he talks a lot about your identity. And your identity is the state that you're in. He uses that word quite a bit. And really, when you take a look, habits are forming your identity. So there's this great quote. I know that I've read it in Neville Goddard lectures, but I also know that I've seen it attributed to other people. So I'm not really sure where it came from. But the quote is, sow an act, reap a habit. Sow a habit and you reap a character. Sow a character and you reap a destiny. So really, we're starting with the habit. The habits that you have are forming your future. And when you continue in the same cycle that you've always been in, you wake up and you get up and you do the exact same thing and you have the same thoughts, and then you're driving to work and you have the same mental arguments in your head, or you're replaying the same things, you're really just continuing to confirm to yourself that the life that you're leading is the one that you believe in, and it's the one that you want to continue. And so that's what you get mirrored back to you. And a lot of times it can be very easy, especially if you are a law of assumption, Neville Goddard type follower, to get caught up in the feeling of persistence. And that's something I want to talk about today. There is a difference in persisting in believing that you are the person that you want to be, And there is a big difference between that and then persisting in confirming that you do not have that which you are looking for, that you actually are not your ideal self, that you do not have the things in life that you were hoping that you would have. And when we become very honest with ourselves, we're able to actually see this in our life, these like habit loops that we're in. And one of the greatest examples for it is always people who are seeking a specific person. And I know that seeking a specific person can drive you mad, right? Like it can be this really frustrating cycle. And then there's so much confusion online of whether it's right or wrong or whatever else it is. My personal belief is that we are all at some point in life, whether we are consciously or unconsciously doing it, we're after a specific person, right? And the way that we feel about them and the way that we feel from them and the way that we feel about ourselves is reflected in those relationships, whether we're aware of that happening and we're doing it consciously or we're doing it subconsciously because we're not aware, we're not awake to this kind of stuff yet. So that's my personal belief. I don't necessarily think that if you are seeking a specific person because you are in love with them or that you feel that you're in love with them, that there's necessarily anything wrong with that. But what there is like quote unquote wrong is when you continue in a habit that is bad for you, that it leaves you feeling completely unfulfilled and sad each night, that you allow it to take over so much of your day that you're not actually enjoying life anymore. And that's where I think a lot of folks need to kind of wake up. And this is for any, like I'm using a specific person and love as an example, just to kind of, because I think it's one that a lot of folks are probably pretty familiar with, but it can be anything. If you are wanting something so badly in your life that it is the only thing that you can truly focus on, and you are no longer enjoying either simple or complex joys that are all around you, there's a problem there. You're not taking care of yourself. You're not filling your cup. You're not making sure that you are loved by the person that matters the most, and that's you. And you can really determine where you are within your identity or your state by taking a look at the inner conversations you're having with yourself, becoming more aware of the habits that you're falling into on a natural basis. There's actually a point in the Power of Now book that is really fantastic. If you're looking for it, if you want to kind of follow along, I'm on page 82. But it is talking about being present in the moment. So the Power of Now is all about becoming in this moment, this present moment, and becoming really aware of what's going on around you, within your body, but it's really connecting back to yourself, which is super important. And he says, see if you can catch yourself complaining in either speech or thought about a situation you find yourself in. What other people do or say, your surroundings, your life situation, even the weather. To complain is always non-acceptance of what is. It carries an unconscious negative charge. When you complain, you make yourself into a victim. When you speak out, you are in power. So change the situation by taking action or by speaking out if necessary or possible. Leave the situation or accept it. All else is madness. So when you take a look at any type of situation that you're in and you have this desired outcome, there's this ideal that you really want to obtain to have in your life, and you're seeking the satisfaction of having that in your life, but you're to the point that you're in a cycle of noticing all the ways it's not working for you, that's actually the cycle that you're in. And that's the habit that I'm going to really recommend that you break. That is the one that you want to start paying attention to. That's why I recommend that you add list of joys to your day. That's why I recommend that you include new hobbies and that you spend time quietly relaxing and going into your mind to imagine that ideal self, but outside of that time, going through and really enjoying life. There is so much to enjoy here. And the last thing that I would think anybody would actually want to do if they were consciously being aware of what the choices that they're making is to spend years in a cycle of feeling frustrated, unfulfilled, and seeking something to be in their life. And so there is a point in time where you say, you know what, this is not the identity that I want to have. I need to break this habit that I'm in because it's providing something for you. Either you've convinced yourself that you are continuing to persist and that's what you're actually doing, or you're getting some sort of confirmation that something is right. So you're getting some sort of reward, and you have to figure that one out for yourself of like what that reward is and what it is that you're seeking, of why you continue to go into the same habit loop, whether it's a physical habit loop of like driving by somebody's house or calling them and hanging up, or if it's a mental habit loop of having inner, arguments with somebody, being mean to yourself within your own mind, kind of putting yourself down, whatever thing it is, just remember that a habit loop starts with a cue. So there's something that triggers you to say, oh, yep, it's time to fall into this routine. And the second part of the habit loop is the routine. So something triggers you, says, hey, it's time to start doing this. You go ahead and you do it, and it ends when you get your reward. And the more that you make those connections, our brains are designed to remember them and to say, okay, now I can start doing this unconsciously. I don't have to put the mental energy into this. And some habits are easier than others, right? Like some people really create a new habit around eating healthy and doing physical fitness very simply, but may struggle with having like a new financial habit. They may find love very easily, but they may struggle with like keeping their home tidy. They may be able to set up a morning routine, like it's nothing, no big deal, change that habit. But for some reason, the night one is just difficult. So it can take either a couple days, a few weeks, a couple months, whatever it is. But you're making the choice to say, I'm going to make this plan. I have a goal. And within that goal, I have set up a process, and each day I'm going to just show up for myself. And that's why you start small, because when you start small, you have something to obtain each and every day. And then each and every day, you're confirming to yourself that you are this person. You're the person who behaves in this way. And that habit, this behavior, you have already outlined as part of your ideal self. So you have no choice but at that point to believe, I am this ideal self. I show up every day and I do these habits that are aligned to who I want to be in the life that I want to live. And it's truly a very small, subtle shift in the way that you behave and the way that you handle things. So a lot of times it comes down to being able to catch yourself in a moment, not continuing to react in the same way that you have before, because that's continued to confirm that this is the type of person that you are. And I know it sounds like a lot, but it's really easy to choose one routine that you want to change. And just say, you know what, I've got this one, and I know that every day at 3 p.m. I do X action, and I want to change that action. So then get ahead of yourself, set an alarm. So you're creating an environment that is conducive to you, getting your routine updated and changed. And so you would say, okay, at 2:55, I'm going to have an alarm set that instead of going to the kitchen and buying a soda, I'm going to go on a walk downstairs. And you're just slowly changing these routines. So you have the same cue, but you're interrupting the routine. You're changing your environment so that it's better for you to continue with your good routines that you want to have, the habits that you want to continue, because they're aligned to your ideal self, instead of continuing back on the same path that confirms who you already were. So let's put this into like a specific person example. If let's say Usually when you smell a certain perfume, it reminds you of that person and you end up very upset. You emotionally fall into a habit loop of missing them and being devastated. And so you open your Snapchat to see if they have unblocked you from Snapchat. But devastation, you open Snapchat, which is part of your routine, go and look, and you are still blocked and unable to contact them on Snapchat. And then you fall back into a despair, a frustration, whatever kind of habit loop, emotional habit loop that you have been in repeatedly. And it's because you've done now this same routine over and over and over, and it's just continuing for you. If there are things within your life that you're not having the outcome that you want, you are frustrated, you feel like you're on a hamster wheel, it's because you literally are. You're on like this hamster wheel that's a habit loop. And that's what has to be changed. You need to die to your old self in order to have this remarkable change. And that doesn't mean every little bit of you has to die. That means that only these parts need to. You can kind of put yourself together like piecemeal identities together to make you and to be the person that you want to be. So it doesn't have to be this like massive change. It can be on a much smaller scale. I actually want to share part of Neville Goddard's Out of This World. This is on, well, I don't know. I've got the complete reader and it's page 154. So I don't know if you'll be able to find it, but it's Out of This World. A little practice will convince us that we can, by controlling our imagination, reshape our future in harmony with our desire. Desire is the mainspring of action. We could not move a single finger unless we had a desire to move it. No matter what we do, we follow the desire which at the moment dominates our minds. When we break a habit, our desire to break it is greater than our desire to continue in the habit. That's pretty huge. So you have to start with that desire and say, I have a desire to change this. I've continued on this same path. I've continued in the same cycle, and it's not persisting at this point in you getting your desired outcome. It's you persisting in the fact that you don't have it and that you're blocked and that you're frustrated and whatever else it is that maybe you're finding yourself in a situation. And I share it in this way because I've been there where I've had to wake up and say, I am continuing every day to wake up and fall into the exact same habit. I wake up each morning and I think the same thoughts. I have the same mental arguments with people. I go down and make my coffee in the exact same way. I sit on the couch in the same way. I'm doing all the same things over and over and over. And it wasn't until I broke those habits and said, I'm changing this. I'm going to start doing something different. I'm going to start adding more enjoyment to my day. I'm going to be very specific and thoughtful in the way that I'm spending my time. Because as Neville Goddard also says, your attention is an investment. Now you can spend it by just not paying any attention to it, not caring and just throwing it around and whatever, do the mental arguments that you want and don't focus on becoming the better person that you want to be or the ideal self that you want to be. Or you can invest those moments. Every moment that you have is an opportunity to invest in a better future for you and even a better right now for you. You're able to make that choice now to say, these are the things that I'm going to do for me because I love me and I want to take care of myself. And then there's some scientific pieces to that align that have been, proven to increase your satisfaction and your fulfillment each day. So really start adding those. Make a conscious effort to add those. Some of those would be doing a gratitude practice each day. So you can either do that by writing out what you're grateful for, or the way that I like to do it is I actually focus on gratitude in a moment. It's part of my daily joys. So if I'm enjoying, let's say, taking a bubble bath, I will become very aware of that moment of taking that bath. I will not really pay attention to anything else that's going on. And instead, I will turn my awareness to what I feel on my body. I will turn my awareness to what I am able to smell. I will turn my awareness to what I'm able to see, what I'm able to hear. And by zoning that in very small, just to me and these senses that I have an overwhelming feeling of gratitude for taking the bath. And this comes down to anything. You can do it while drinking a glass of water. But the more that you focus and you bring yourself down, it's a daily gratitude, because when you really get down to that point, when you're doing something for yourself and you say, I am specifically doing this so that I can add joy to my own day, it's next to impossible to not feel gratitude, because you're doing something nice for you. And it can start so small, especially if you're really struggling, maybe with, the way that you feel, or you're feeling down and melancholy a lot of days. Doing something small for you is such a great way to just start to kind of turn those tables and help you feel better and have a better start to your day. Another one that's really important is getting sunshine each day. I highly recommend that you make it morning light. So get out sometime before 10 a.m., no sunglasses, not through a window. So preferably like on a walk, because adding exercise is also a great way to help your mental well-being. But if you even just go sit outside with like your cup of coffee, this is what I do. I like to sit outside with my cup of coffee and my book, and I don't wear sunglasses. I don't look directly at the sun. And this even works on cloudy days. And it's been proven to kick off your kind of sleep cycle so that you are more energized during the day and have an easier time falling asleep at night. And I did mention it, but also exercise. Getting exercise into your day is such a great gift to give to yourself. So whether that is a very simple walk, if you like to do strength training, if you like to go hit the stair stepper, if you like to go for a run, whatever it is for you, but just getting movement. It's so important for us to actually move. And I kind of like to look at things. I saw this like really cool kind of piece that I've always kept in mind. I think it was a reel on Instagram that I saw one day. But it was that every day you should have a physical win, which means that you are doing something physical for your body. You're kind of working out. You're doing something for you that's physical with movement. A mental kind of win for your day. So you're either journaling or you're doing a meditation. The daily joys and becoming present is definitely a mental win. And then the other one is spiritual. So, reading a book that is kind of enlightening from a spiritual teacher is a really great way to do it. Going back into like a meditation, prayer, anything along those lines. But if you can really take each day and make a choice, write out even a to-do list of these are the areas that I'm going to do things for me today. It may be difficult at first, and you may not feel the benefits right away. But I tell you, in time, it'll completely change your life. And if there are areas of life that you're stuck in a frustrating cycle and you are not sure how to get out of it, and you're just not enjoying yourself, and instead you're often feeling quite down, start small and add some of these things to your day so that you can start to slowly shift the way that your mind works. It's been shown in scientific studies throughout the years that our environment and kind of the way that we live each day does reframe our mind. It does rewire the way that our mind works and the habits, like the compelled actions that we'll want to take for the next day, because our identity shifts, our state shifts. So when you do these things for yourself and you are starting to become more aware of your environment, which I'll get a little bit more into that here in just a minute, you are actually shifting your brain. And part of that environment is even, your physical environment, like your home. Keeping your room clean and your space clean is very good for your mind. It actually is just a better way to wake up. That's why it's recommended to get up and make your bed every day. It's a great way to kick off your day, and it just makes your space feel better. And when your space is better, you will definitely feel better. And then the other one is like your friends, right? Who are you spending your time with? Is it people who maybe make jokes at your expense? Is it people who are just complaining all of the time? I've actually had some friends that it was years ago, they were coworkers. And I remember I would go outside and they were sitting at a ledge and just, I don't know what had gotten into them because it wasn't really like them, but they fell into this like habit of just sitting on the ledge downtown and just talking so poorly about everybody who walked by. And this was well before I knew anything about any of this stuff. But I remember then just feeling like I was drained as soon as I went out around this behavior. That kind of behavior just took everything. It like took the wind out of my sails. It wasn't the way that I wanted to behave. It wasn't the way that I wanted to spend like my break time. That was for sure, because that's when I was out there. And so really start to take a look at who are you surrounding yourself with. You are going to be the product of the people that you're around. You are the product. Your mind is going to think and be wired based on these environments that you have around you. So that's your space, the coworkers that you're around, the friends that you go out with, the people that you're spending time with. That's all going to contribute to kind of your own well-being. And so, if it's people that you love and you guys have fallen into a negative habit loop, that's fine. It happens. I think that I've definitely been there. I know that it happens, but you can shift that. You can say, you know what, hey, I really want to talk about something else, or I want to share this like really cool thing with you, or I was thinking that it would be neat if we went out and did XYZ new hobby or physical activity, and just change it and start to change it for them. It's a great gift that you'll give to yourself and to them. So a lot of, today was kind of talking about these habit loops that you're in, making sure that you're not persisting in the wrong thing, like persisting in the fact that you don't have something. And then also talking about some ways that you can kind of optimize your day so that your habits are more aligned with the life that you want to live. I definitely hope that you found it beneficial and that I didn't do too much rambling. And I also want to share that I do have a free journal download on my website. If you go to ceciliahendricks.com, there is a journal that I put together that if you go ahead and fill out to get on my email list, it'll send you the free journal. I think it's about like 8 pages or so, but it asks you a bunch of questions so that you can start to identify what your actual desired outcome is. And then here in a couple weeks, I'm actually launching some courses that are very specific on step-by-step guides on how to kind of change some areas of your life. I'll put the link to that below. The courses are going to be very much focused on accountability and making sure that there is like a step-by-step guide and that you kind of have just a little bit more clear information on how to make these changes in your life, especially for like areas around self-confidence or having more energy throughout the day, because I know that's something that I always struggled with. But I hope that you found this beneficial. I hope that you have an absolutely beautiful Wednesday and a beautiful rest of your week, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you again for joining me today. If you'd like to learn more about all things going on with me, go ahead and visit my website at ceciliahendricks.com.